Hi there, Glocal citizens. Welcome back to the podcast that inspires a borderless mindset around manifesting a new world. I'm your host, Florence, and I'm happily coming to you today from Brooklyn, New York, while my guest is coming to us from my other home in Accra, Ghana. I'm very excited for this episode because it's kind of up my alley in terms of my work in Ghana. So without any further ado, let me introduce him. He is an award-winning Ivorian-Ghanaian film director based but not bound to Montreal, Canada. He has directed a number of projects around the world, including 4 episodes of MTV Shuga, a fiction series in the Ivory Coast, as well as Violence of the Lambs, a music video released on NOWNESS, from which he developed and debuted his first short film, Zoo, in 2020. The film was selected at over 60 international film festivals, of which 15 are Oscar qualifying, and Zoo has racked up over 10 awards. He is currently in post-production for his second short film, Element, while preparing his first feature film experience, co-writing alongside Oscar-nominated director Jérémy Comte. Will Niava,
Yes.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you. It's nice to see you. It's nice to hear you.
Wonderful. So it's so interesting. So I met Will a few years ago, and our first meeting was a road trip to Axim, where we had some very interesting adventures. We were supposed to be going for a rave that didn't happen, but we had some very interesting adventures. And I feel like that was kind of like the early stages of your relationship with your now wife.
Yes.
Yes.
That's so crazy. We weren't even dating yet, like she came down
So
to
that was
Ghana.
exactly. So it's so funny. It's wonderful. I love love. And that's great. So let's jump into it. So tell us where you're from, where you're local, and what is your craft?
I'm from the Ivory Coast and Ghana. I feel like I'm 50-50. However, I've lived for the past 10 years in Montreal, Canada. And so I feel like there's 3 parts of my life. So I was born in Ivory Coast and I lived there until 12. And then I had my teens in Ghana, in Accra until 18. And then I had from 18 to like 28, now I'm 29 in Montreal. So that's like 3 parts of my life in different spaces. Very similar places. And I mean, if you put it all together, because Ivory Coast is French speaking, Ghana is English, Montreal is both. It's like a mix of both cultures. And so it was the perfect match for me. And I am actually a film director. Film is my passion. It's also my winning bread. It's also everything. Like it's a hobby, I just love watching movies and I live by it, live and die by it.
By the camera, by the moving image.
Exactly.
Okay, nice. Okay, so just to kind of get into, so you were born in Côte d'Ivoire, and so your first tongue is what?
French. It's French, actually.
It's French.
I spoke French even when I came to Ghana. Like, although my parents are translators, interpreters, they know together. They know about 7 languages combined together.
Wow.
And however, they only taught me French until I was 12.
So which parent is Ivorian?
My father. Yeah, my father.
Okay. What would be his mother tongue or his local language?
It would be Alajan.
Alajan. Okay.
But we never, I don't know. I think they were too busy to install that in us. However, my sisters, when they came here to Ghana before I did, they were living with my grandmother in this house where I'm at actually. And my grandmother spoke Ghana to them, and they picked up on the Ghana, However, no one spoke anything to me but French,
Yeah, I have a very similar experience. Yeah.
And so I'm finding myself in a peculiar situation where Ghanaians have a hard time like giving me their everything, their 100%, because of that
Yes.
language barrier, like we have that
Yes.
English. And so I'm seen almost as a foreigner. And I've always been
Mhm.
seen like that because coming from Ivory Coast and not speaking English is already big. And
Mhm.
then
Mhm.
not speaking the local language is another layer. So it's like, yo, this guy is just he's not from here, man. We got to explain everything. And so I had to catch up.
Sure.
I had to,
Right.
I learned
Right.
English with cartoons. Shout out Cartoon Network. Um, um,
Yeah. Yeah.
cartoons were the best. Music, listened to a lot of Eminem, 50 Cent. Didn't even understand what they were saying until until I understood. I'm like, oh my god, I was saying horrible things. And
Right.
then
Yeah, it's
and
so funny you say that because rap or hip hop
mhm,
and I want to say West African
mhm,
English speaking, I guess probably Africa across the continent has a really interesting role because so many young men
mhm,
learned English by
mhm,
listening to hip hop music.
mhm,
And
mhm.
so you're right. Like once you realize what they're saying, and depending on what
Yeah,
other influences you have, this is who you are. Like you
yeah,
become this kind of potentially thugged out
yeah,
rapper,
yeah,
and that's your
yeah.
personality.
I
Yeah.
mean, to be honest, I what stuck with me is the accent. Beyond
Oh, okay.
beyond what they were rapping about, I mean, I could not relate at all. I still can't. Um,
Yeah.
but the accent stuck, and like people till this day, people think I'm American. Like I'll speak to Ghanaians, until I switch, and I can switch it. I can switch it so easy.
Uh-huh.
All of a sudden, I can become Ghanaian. But I mean, my normal, normally,
Right.
it's just, it comes out like this, and I don't mind it. Obviously, it's like it's useful, but like I think the third thing that kind of cemented, the English for me was movies, and I would
Mhm.
download movies, I would torrent. Yo, I mean, they could probably arrest me for this. Like, I torrented so many movies. Like, I mean, it was the
Right.
culture. We all did, and just would watch at least a movie or two every night. You know,
Oh, wow.
um,
Okay.
and I loved, just like I was very inspired by Hollywood movies at first.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then when I started discovering European films, that's a little later. But I think the American movies is really that's where I learned my accent and my like how to say things and like what things meant. And I
Okay.
would just
Mhm.
come back home and like speak to my mom or my sisters, like not even know what I'm saying, but I'm like I'm saying it right. And they're like, okay.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so then you came to Ghana speaking only French, and so
Mhm.
you learned. So what school did you go to? Did you go to the French school or did you go
Yeah, I went
to
to the French school,
Okay. Okay.
which
Yeah.
made things worse for my learning English because like you're just not communicating
Yeah.
to
You were
anyone
in
in
this
English.
French.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bubble.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Okay. Okay.
and we realized that the French, educational system was just like so flawed and like useless. Like, and that's why at some point we just all left in, let's say, eighth grade.
Mhm.
Everyone who was in my class, we were about 24.
Mhm.
Everyone who was in my grade except for three left the school. Like
Wow.
we just like all went to different schools, and I went to
Wow.
an American school right after that
Okay. Got it.
called
Got it. Got it.
AIS. Yeah,
Which school? GIS?
AIS.
AI.
International School.
Okay, and that's in East Legon, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. Okay, well, that you were still in East Legon, so you were from one side of East Legon to the other.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
We talk about like local, kind of getting local on the show, and particularly with people in
Okay.
Ghana. So I think
Thanks.
if my regular listeners know East Legon already, but East
Yeah.
Legon is I don't want to call it a suburb, but it's kind of like just one of the more upscale enclaves in Accra. So, and not to say that upscale doesn't preclude like there's definitely like different
Sections of the
yeah,
neighborhood,
exactly,
however.
exactly.
Yeah.
But right, I'd call it like the I don't I would call it not quite. Upper East Side or the Upper West Side? Comparatively, yeah, maybe like Upper West Side of Accra comparatively, just in terms of like the income mixes, but like the housing stock, that kind of thing, or potentially, I don't know. So anyway, okay, so then you transferred schools, and then so I have this why the where question. So let's ask the why the where in terms of Canada. So how did you come to be living and working and playing in Canada?
Well, let's say I think it started with Canada came because of film. Canada came
Film.
to, but my sisters were already going to, like, we're in college in Canada.
Okay.
And I would, I was supposed to go to a film school here in Ghana, actually.
No NAFTY.
NAFTY, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
However, when I brought my works, like things that I had done with my cousins or friends, presented it to them, the people who actually like are supposed to evaluate your work told me that I shouldn't come there, and I was kind of confused. And they told me that everything that I have in here shows that I don't need to come to this school. I won't learn anything. I already know
Wow.
everything that I need to know that they can offer. They-
Mm.
They're advising me, it's not even to take my money, they're advising me to go to a school abroad and like develop my talent, because obviously I'm doing things that they don't know how to do, which was the defining moment for my parents, because like my parents obviously were like, African parents, but they took a chance with me. They're like, okay, you know what? Let's try NAFTY. NAFTY was a stretch already. you know,
Oh, right, exactly. Yeah.
it's like, yo, you have to have a backup plan. You have to learn business. You have to, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not trying to do all that. I'm just trying to do this, and that's what I saw that I could do, and that's what I want to do. And But let me go back a little bit, even how film came about.
Yeah. Tell us that.
Basically, I was super, like I told you, I mean, I would watch films every night and stuff like that. But my very first passion was soccer. I wanted to become a soccer player, just like
Hmm.
every other African kid. Like that
Yeah.
was my passion. That was like I would play every single day and on weekends. With Kambe actually, like
Yeah.
we were both like, but guess who was in our class? Our same, like, our grade was Jordan IU, who is the son
Oh.
of, yeah, who's the son of the legendary Abedi Pele, and he had an incredible talent. And him and his his brother Andre IU were in our
Hmm.
school. We would play with them every day, and they were so good. They were just like levels above us. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
I was like, dude, if I'm not playing at the level that these guys are playing, I'm never going to become a footballer. And I didn't see myself getting to their level anytime soon. I was like, if there's anyone who's going to become a footballer in this school, is these two guys. And they did. Sure enough, they're playing for our national team. They're playing in
Yeah.
the English Premier League and, making millions of dollars. And we're really happy for them.
Hmm.
But that wasn't my calling, obviously. And I had to
Right.
find something else. And I was in pantomimes. I would act. I
Oh.
was I did a lot of theater, in school. It was outside of school actually. It was someone called Melanie Tyreman.
Yeah,
Um,
I've heard of her.
heard
Hmm.
of
Yeah,
her?
the whole pantomime thing.
Yeah,
Hmm. Hmm.
exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. She really inspired me because she would direct us,
Hmm.
she would set this whole thing up, and we would just come and like every night practice, and like, I'd audition for roles. It's so funny. I'd always get I'd play the role of a woman.
Okay.
Yeah, like I was chubby too, so it was like the big African American woman. It was magical. I loved it.
Yeah.
And that was one of my roles. I would always have kind of a lead, character, and I just loved watching her direct us. Watching her have fun, and like And sometimes I just stand by her when it wasn't my scene. I was just like, stand by her and like take direction and like just be like, man, this is a really cool thing, because when you see the end product, you're just like so happy, so proud to be part of this, and like the response is amazing, and like you see it all come together. It's like, wow, it just came from this one person's mind, and like every little thing that you added, and like we propose things, and like some things are are taken, other things are dropped, and like but we try everything, and I just love that inclusive vibe. And I was like, man, I don't know. I feel like this is something I want to try. But obviously, I was like, I'm not gonna start directing a theater thing right here. Like I want to do it on my like what I know. And the second key to my love for film was like I have this cousin. He was he was probably 6 years old at the time. But he would take pictures. He had this little camera and take pictures of his action figures, and he would do like stop motion, and like so they would do crazy stuff, just put those pictures together, like maybe 1,000 pictures, and you just see these action figures just doing a lot of like
You create a whole cartoon.
yeah, a whole scene, like, and it was insane. I was like so impressed by that. I'm like, man, I was what, 15 or 16 at the time. And I'm like, man, this kid is like killing it with this stuff, and he would upload it to YouTube. It's like,
Wow. Okay.
yeah, as he was six,
Yeah.
he was like, he was a baby.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, you know what? I want to start doing that too. But in video form, I'm not going to take pictures. And you know what? I'm
Hmm.
going to use him as my actor. And so I shot a bunch of stuff with Kenny, and I uploaded them to YouTube, and they're all there. I'm not ashamed of them. I feel like, if anything, I want people to know where I came from, how
Okay.
it started. And so
Yeah.
I'll probably send you some links for you to laugh your head off.
Sure, sure, sure. So is that on your now YouTube channel, or is it a
It's not my
different YouTube
same
channel?
YouTube channel. It's like
Okay.
I had created something called Woovies, like Willy Movies. Oh my days. But that's where it all started, and I started making like little like 2 minute films or like a minute film with my cousin, and then I brought different people start seeing those, and they're like, yo, let's get into it. And like some of my friends, we started
Yeah.
making like action films, and like a lot of different stuff. It got a little like gory.
So were you also writing, or like
We
what
would
roles were you taking then? Like were
I was I
directing is
was
very
literally
specific
every single piece.
role.
I did
Okay.
not have a helper or anything. Like I
Hmm.
was recording the sound, filming, directing, writing,
Hmm.
um,
Hmm. And
everything.
were you using like a VHS, or you
Yeah,
somehow
one of
got a
them
camera?
VHS cameras or a
Okay.
phone, like or a
Yeah.
you know, I had I don't even know if it's VHS. It's the one right after VHS. It's like, it looked
Yeah, it wasn't a cam.
it was an
Well,
HD
it was
cam.
right,
you
right. And it
know?
had the little, maybe like the 3-inch tape, 3 or 4-inch tape,
Yeah,
or
exactly,
cassette. Yeah.
exactly, exactly,
Yeah. Okay.
exactly. Oh my
Okay.
gosh, to find someone to develop those things out here was so hard. Like,
I can
oh my
imagine.
gosh, but like, yeah, we made it work,
Yeah. Okay.
and yeah, so brought that to fast forward, brought that to NAFTY. They're like, yo, basically you're too advanced for us. You got to go somewhere else. It's like someone refusing you a job because you're too qualified.
Mhm.
In my
Mhm.
case, it
Mhm.
worked out because I got to now apply to a film school in Canada,
Okay. Mhm.
and one of my sisters was in St. Catharines in Canada. The other one was in Ottawa, and I was like, I don't want to go to those places. I want to go somewhere
To the
else.
city. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just like, I don't want to live with my sisters from my college experience. So I want to experience living by myself, and so I just
Right.
picked a random spot, and it happened to be Montreal. I didn't even know they spoke French there. I was like, whoa, wait, what? I just like literally film school, where's the best film school? They're like, okay, it's either in Vancouver, which is all the way,
Yep.
way too far, or
Right.
out here in Montreal. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna apply to this one school. I applied to one school
Okay.
because I was late. I was a little late, and like applications were done. So it was like either I get into this school or I stay out here and just like wait
Waste
another
a year,
year. Yeah,
basically.
just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
And man, like God works in so many, mysterious ways. And I just like sent them my thing, and they wrote me back a couple months later saying, "Yo, you got in." And I was like, okay.
Impressive.
Like,
Yeah.
so happy.
Impressive.
And come to find out when I get into school that it's so hard to get in this film program. Like, not very hard to get into school. Like, you can get into that school, you can get in film studies, but to do film
Sure.
production, it's like they select
Ah.
15 people for every class every year
Uh-huh.
out of like thousands of people who apply.
Right. Right.
And so 15 people for every class. So that makes maybe rounds up to like 50 people in the whole school with animation. And, so we're just 50
Sure.
here. And so I'm there and I'm like, they just like, yo, yeah. And I was the only black guy. There was another Jamaican girl. I was the
Okay.
only black guy, and there was one other black guy in animation. But like we never saw each other,
Right.
my whole class, I was just like, whoa, how come we're so like little? Because I go to like the big hall class, and it's like 80 people, like. But there we just like every time in class we're just 10, we're 10.
Right. Very intimate.
Very intimate, and we're studying, like we're going on set, we're shooting, we're actually like there's different ways of seeing cinema, and like we're studying
Mm-hmm.
experimental cinema and like understanding like what things mean and really getting into the image, why things are framed this way, and like going to film those things. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that was like so necessary and so like I don't know, so enriching, for me
Yeah.
as a young up and coming filmmaker at the time. Just
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what school was that?
that's Concordia University.
Concordia University.
Yes.
Okay. And so their film program.
Their film
And
school is called Mel Hoppenheim School of Cinema.
okay. Okay.
So it's the home of like, there's, I don't know if you know them, but like there's Denis Villeneuve, who directed Arrival or Sicario or Prisoners. Anyways, some really classic films of the
Ah,
2010s. Amazing films
yeah.
that I'm very inspired by.
Got it.
Um, there's another director called Xavier Dolan or
Okay.
Jérémy Comte, who was just at the Oscars with me. Well, actually, like I worked with him, but like this was on the film that he did. So a lot of inspiring people came out of that school, and I just found that out way after I was like in it. Like
It's so funny. Yeah. 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 Especially, I mean, it's kind of like, how would you know back,
yeah.
back then, and you're just a kid from Ghana who
Mhm,
wants to be a filmmaker. And
mhm.
the best thing that Ghana could have done for you was tell you, we can't do it for you. So go
Yeah,
someplace where we
yeah,
can.
yeah. For
Yeah.
real, I will
Yeah.
forever thank them for not just thinking of
Yeah.
money, because like obviously in Ghana, like that's the way. It's like Charlie, if you're bringing money with tickets. But like
Mm-hmm.
they were
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what, like
This kid is good.
this
Let's let
is
him be
good. Let's
good.
let him be good. Let's let him
Mm-hmm.
go and
Mm-hmm.
learn this for real and like really. So I'm very grateful to that.
Well, I mean, it's great because you're bringing your craft back, so
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
obviously, and you're creating new things. So tell us so from finishing university, you have a degree in film production, and then you have this big wide world out there for you, and you
Yeah,
have this decision: am I going to stay in Canada? Am I
yeah.
going to move around? So how did you? So what was next? So after film school, where was your path leading you?
Well, there's only so much you can learn in school, especially
Mm-hmm.
for a filmmaker. It's like after a while, it's either you're doing it or you're not doing it. Either you're
Mm-hmm.
applying what you learned or you're just sitting around waiting for someone to like give you a desk job somewhere, or you want to become a film critic, or it's like our world is all about showing. It's visuals. What are you going to show me? if you want a job, I need to see what you've done before, And so from the very first moment I stepped foot in Canada, maybe this is probably not, I shouldn't say that, but like, I was just like, just for immigration purposes.
I was going to say.
Anyways, I wasn't getting paid, but I was doing a lot of jobs. I was literally doing so much stuff for free, just
Oh, okay.
because I needed that practice. I needed to like get to work. I needed to experience what it meant to be on set, and
Okay.
I got through a lot of, hard phases of like just discovering how like tenuous clients can be, and how like how just undervalued we could like, like
As the crew, yeah.
as
As
a
the
crew, as
actual
even
creatives. Yeah.
as creatives. And I started doing a lot of stuff just the way I was in Ghana, like by myself. I would just, shoot a bunch of music videos and I'd go there solo dolo, no assistant, production assistant, no one, just like
You and your camera and your sound.
just me, my camera, not even sound. I just like get the sound from the camera,
Yeah. Well, I guess because if you're editing music video, you're going to put music on later.
Exactly. I'm just
So,
putting the music on. So it's like, so I would just do that, shoot it, come back, edit the whole thing myself, and then like color it and then send it back, and like they were very happy and stuff like that. But like I just moved solo, and like I came to realize like that's like a lot of energy spent on like, but I needed to know that. I feel like I needed to go through that because now I know what I expect of people who work with me, I've done every single one of their jobs. And so I know when someone's like slacking, or I know when someone can give me more, I'm bringing you along is because like I value your work and I know that your position is something that I could do myself. However, I don't want to. I think it's your job, so do it well.
Yeah. It's a great philosophy.
Yeah. And I mean, I came to realize a little later that the power of two is stronger than the power of just one. Like two heads coming together, if they align, have the same vision, align in the same vision, really you're just gonna be way more effective, more powerful. You just don't need to collide, and it's hard to have collision with me. I don't really.
Yeah, I would say you're so cool.
I don't. I just don't attract that. It doesn't come my way. Like if it does, I elude it. Like I'm okay, just not talking to you. Like, but it's not. It doesn't even get to that point. Like I'm not. I'm not here for that. And anyone who has that energy will switch it when I interact with them, because it's like I'm too real. I call it out. It's like okay, like I see where your power is, but I also see this other side that you're trying to do. I'm not with it. I don't even like, it's the first things that I say usually, while still shaking someone's hand, it's like, let's get that out of the way so that we can just like
flow
through this,
Got it.
And so, I came into some collisions with some people, with some clients, however, because of ego and like, some people at some point just like I wouldn't sleep, editing people's stuff. I was just like on it the whole night. They're like, we need it tomorrow. We just shot it last night. We need it tomorrow. Okay, I'm gonna work on it tomorrow. I don't have it the next day. They're calling me at 8 a.m. like, where is it? We need it. We need, I'm just like, guys, I don't have it. I haven't slept the whole, and they're like, wow, what kind of professionalism is this? It's not professional. When you go out in the world, you'll face, like, and I still remember these people. I remember them. I remember that phone call. I remember crying on the phone call, just like feeling so like just undervalued and like, but like at the time I also didn't have the knowledge that I have today, how to set a schedule for your delivery, and
create expectations.
like what they should, like give myself a little bit of margin even to like rethink what I just edited. I just can't just like edit something and send it. It's like that's it. No, I have to like edit it, put it down for 2 days, not even think about it, come back to it, see
Yeah.
all the things that I didn't see before, all needs to
Right.
be taken into account. But like I had none of that. I would accept anything that a client proposed just because, yeah. And I had to learn the hard way. But those are the experiences that I needed to set some boundaries, for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And like
Mm-hmm.
really,
Mm-hmm.
really understand what I was getting into. But and also like at some point just realize like, yo, I'm not even here for this, man. I'm not here to shoot people's random events.
Ah, you're ready to do your own thing.
Yeah, I get
Yeah.
my own thing, what I like, where the
Yeah.
source came, where this spark came. Like I gotta focus on that, and
Yeah.
I would try to do that now in music videos, and
Okay.
that's where I would express myself a little more and like get more creative control, like
Mm-hmm.
people would trust me with their music and sometimes I just ask someone like, yo, can I have your music? I'm gonna make like some sort of video for it, and I'll shoot a lot of different stuff and just like put it together. And I loved editing. Editing was
Mm-hmm.
almost like second nature to me. It was like my superpower.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel you on the editing thing. I actually enjoy editing. It's so time consuming when you really are getting into it. And some of the technical pieces are sometimes annoying, but I feel you on that. So tell us a little bit more about what are your tools? So what are the tools that you are using now?
Right.
Some of the, platforms, equipment, what is the film director's toolkit looking like these days?
Well, listen, like I told you, I used to do everything myself,
Yeah.
At some point I had bought myself a Black Magic cinema camera. It's
Okay.
huge for me because I like
Yeah.
$2,000. I asked my parents like, I need to borrow some money. I need to borrow a little bit, so they paid for like half of it. I was like, whew. Still haven't paid it back to be honest. But in love, I have.
Yeah, there you go.
Um, but that really broke the seal for me. Like I um, established myself differently from all the other filmmakers who had
Oh,
like
yeah, because you have the right
Canons
equipment.
or
Yeah.
Sony.
Mhm.
Yeah, I came here with this thing called Black Magic. I just love the fact that that was the name of the camera, and like it just looked
Mhm.
different, And then I had a stabilizer, and you just come in and it just looks more pro, So that
Yeah.
was a great starting kit, and still till this day it is. Now they have even
Mhm.
smaller cameras. That one was huge and heavy. Now it's smaller. So Blackmagic Cinema Pocket camera, I would
Okay.
recommend that to anyone starting up. But on my bigger productions, I mean, I don't film anything now. I have my
Yeah.
directors of photography.
Right.
Obviously, I do film like when they're not around. Like the last two
Yeah.
things that I did in Ivory Coast, I filmed and I had a lot of fun doing that because it had been a while. I had kind of like, you know,
Mhm.
let them. I mean, we come up with a shot list together. We come up with how things like I would like things to look, and then they add their own,
Yeah.
vision to it,
Their own eye. Yeah.
their own eye, and I
Mhm.
love
Mhm.
that when you click with someone who like really sees what you're trying to do and does
Mhm.
more, like goes the extra mile. Like, so shout out Simran, shout out Harley. These are people that I trust with my life for real, like to just like deliver something powerful. So they work with Arri Alexa cameras or Reds, you know.
Okay.
Those are the names of the cameras. Arri Alexa, that's like the top of the top. If you want to shoot something like movie like, you're going with an Arri Alexa,
Mhm.
Alexa Mini. And in terms of equipment, I'm not even thinking about it anymore at this level.
Oh, right. You just someone else is doing it all.
Yeah. You have a
Yeah.
producer who like sets you up with a team, with a crew that
Yeah.
matches, and then I have a say. I'm like, okay, I prefer this guy on set. Like his vibe is better. I'm all about setting the mood. That's my job now. From A to
Yeah.
Z, it's
Yeah.
setting the mood, setting the vibe, temperature, kind of like, you know, getting everyone to be in communion and like to come together for this cause. Like remind them like this is the reason why we're here, and I want you
Yeah.
guys to be excited. And like You know, when people are riled up and excited about something that came from your head, it's the greatest feeling because like they're gonna be soldiers. They're
Yeah.
gonna work an extra 4 hours, you know, beyond without eating. You know, it's like food doesn't come, you know, like there's
Yeah.
so many, you know, elements to it, you know, and like filmmakers, we find ways to adapt
Hmm.
depending on the
That's for
situation.
sure.
We gotta like just like you just gotta it's not gonna work. We gotta do it some other way. We you know, time is going by, you know, and our actors are getting tired or you know, like so
The lights changing.
lights changing, the sun is going,
Hmm.
oh my days, like
Yeah.
so many exterior factors can like affect your vision. But like you have to be
Yeah.
able to go with the flow and
Right. When the team is on point, it's all mitigated to a large degree.
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let me ask you a Glocal Speak question. And this is us wanting to know what you hear. So you're kind of talking about your crews and different people you're working with.
Yeah.
This is where I ask to share a word, phrase, or saying that is a meaningful part of your local experience and why or how you came to value it as Glocal Speak. So this can be wherever you feel like you're local. So it could be Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Montreal. What is your Glocal Speak?
One thing that like I don't know, that's in my head 24/7 is keep rising, keep shining, keep rising. It's like it's in Ghana is we move. you know, you
Okay.
know what I
Yes,
mean?
yes, yes,
We
yes,
move,
yes.
we move. It's like you cannot slow down, you know, can't stop, won't
Yeah.
stop. Same thing. Like these are things that like kind of like
Yeah.
they don't even
Yeah.
motivate me. They're like me. They are part
They're
of
just who you
me.
are. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's like we just got I cannot wake up one day and just slow, you know, slow down. Nah, it just has to keep moving. It has
Up
to
and at
keep,
'em. Mhm.
yes, always, you know, and
Mhm.
the only reason I would slow down is to celebrate the wins or take some rest. Nothing else. No sickness, no confusion, no breakups, no, none of that. you know, those things are going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
I know. However, that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here for that. you know, I'm here
Right.
to keep moving. That's like my goal. So that like when I'm in those times where it's like, you know, it's super low and like just I remember who I am. I remember what I'm here for, you know, and that's it. And like we don't even know how far the world is gonna allow us to like grow, but if we keep going, we'll end up somewhere where just like the
There
past
you
is gonna
go.
be like
Yeah.
so far away. You're gonna be like, how did hell did we
How
get?
did I get from there to there? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Powerful. Powerful.
yeah.
I like it.
And I
I
feel
like
like
it.
at this moment right now, I'm at a different stage in my life. I literally just bought a laptop 2 days ago, a new one.
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
every time I buy a new laptop, it's a different stage in my life. it's like,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And so I
Because
feel
I mean,
like
your laptop is your workstation.
it
So
is, it is.
yeah,
It's, you know, it's like,
it's a whole new office ultimately, right?
exactly, exactly. The last one was
Okay.
2015. So it tells you, it's like, whoa, that's like
Okay. A
a
whole
long
book of
stretch. Yeah.
knowledge.
hmm
Yeah. Yeah. So that's going to do it for this episode, part 1 of my conversation with Will Niava. Thanks for joining us once again, and be sure to catch us next week for part 2 of my conversation, where Will talks very in depth about the process of getting his short film Zoo made, as well as some other great gems on filmmaking and local citizenship. As always, you can catch us each and every Tuesday with new episodes at www.glocalcitizenspod.com and wherever you get your podcasts. And do us a favor, if you listen on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, actually wherever you listen, give us a rating, say hello. It helps others find the podcast, and we think we have great content that people want to hear. So do us that favor, share, subscribe, always listen and learn. Hit us on our socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Glocal Citizens. And until next time, bye for now.